Welcome to this deep dive. I think this is something we're all kind of always working on, right? A more positive mindset.
Yeah,
But even more importantly than just like what it is, like how we actually get there.
right.
How do we develop a positive mindset in a way that like actually sticks and makes a difference in our lives?
It's a popular topic and never seems to get old.
Exactly. And to guide us today, we've got excerpts from a couple really interesting sources.
Okay.
First, we have this article. It's called Positive Mindset, How to Develop a Positive Mental Attitude.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got some insightful points from the Mayo Clinic,
Okay.
all about how to combat those pesky negative thoughts
Yeah, those are always fun.
that we all deal with, right?
Yeah.
Like it's part of being human.
Right.
So for this deep dive, I'm really hoping that we can kind of go a little bit beyond just defining a positive mindset.
Yeah,
I want to give everyone some tools to actually use and insights that we can apply.
I like that.
Make it so that it's not just something we're talking about, but something that we can all actually like put into practice.
Knowledge is power, right?
Yes, 100%. Okay, so both of our sources today give us a few different ways to define a positive mindset.
Okay.
And honestly, some of them sound a little simplistic at first,
Yeah.
like just expecting good things to happen.
Well, and that's where I think a lot of people can get tripped up. It's
Right.
not about just, being naive and thinking that everything is always going to be perfect.
Yeah.
The article actually makes a point of saying that it's about approaching challenges with a positive outlook.
So more the approach than the outcome.
Exactly. You can
Yeah.
acknowledge that things might not always go your way,
Yeah.
but you still have that inner resilience that
Right.
allows you to navigate the difficulties while maintaining a sense of hope and optimism.
Okay, so you're not like putting on rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
You're just sort of like, okay, well, this might be tough,
Right.
but I can get through it.
Yeah, and this reminds me a lot of the whole concept of psychological capital.
Psychap.
Yeah, PsyCap. They talk about this in the article a little bit.
Okay, so break that down for me.
So think of it as this mental resource
Okay, yeah.
that you have. It's almost like a reserve of positivity.
Interesting.
And it's a combination of different things like hope, self-efficacy, resilience, and optimism.
Oh, wow.
And research suggests that having high PsyCap can really be beneficial, especially when it comes to things like the work environment.
Yeah, I can see how that would come into play.
So if you think about it, when you face a challenge at work,
Mm-hmm.
do you just immediately shut down? Or do you feel like you have what it takes to tackle it head on?
Right. Do you have the resources?
Exactly. It can make a big difference in your overall success and well-being.
Yeah, so resilience seems to be a key ingredient here.
It really is.
And the article lists a bunch of other characteristics
Oh, yeah.
of a positive mindset. We talked about, obviously, optimism is a big one, but also things like gratitude and flexibility,
Right.
being able to adapt.
Yeah. And what I find really fascinating is how all of those traits, they're all interconnected.
Yeah.
Like, for example, studies have shown that practicing gratitude
Right.
can significantly boost your overall well-being.
Really just taking time to be thankful.
Yeah, even just taking a few minutes each day to think about the things you're grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
It can make a big difference, and it can even improve your physical health.
I've heard that, but I have to admit I struggle with that sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
It's so easy to let it slide when you get busy and just like forget to take those moments.
Absolutely. It's a practice,
Right.
And, that's actually a great segue into something else that I think is often misunderstood about a positive mindset.
Okay, what's that?
This whole idea that you always need to be happy,
Oh, yeah.
it's just not realistic.
Right.
And frankly, I think it can be really detrimental.
I think a lot of people feel like they need to be positive 24/7,
Oh, yeah.
and then they feel guilty when they inevitably experience negative emotions because we're human.
Exactly. And to dig into that a bit further, I think it's really helpful to look at the work of Barbara Fredrickson.
Okay.
The article mentions her briefly,
Mhm.
but I think her research on positive emotions is particularly relevant here.
Okay. I'm all ears. Tell me more.
So she developed this theory called the broaden and build theory of positive emotions.
Okay.
And basically what it suggests is that while negative emotions tend to narrow our focus and make us more reactive,
Makes sense.
positive emotions, they actually have the opposite effect.
Go.
They broaden our thinking, our attention, and even our capacity for learning.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, experiencing more positive emotions can actually help me learn better.
Exactly. That's what the research suggests.
That's so cool.
Think about it when you're feeling joyful or curious. You're more likely to explore new ideas, be more open to different perspectives, and ultimately retain information more effectively.
Now, that makes a lot of sense. It's almost like those positive emotions create this, like, fertile ground.
Yeah, for learning to actually take root and stick.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
And it highlights this important point.
Hmm.
We're not trying to suppress or ignore those negative emotions entirely.
Right.
It's not about pretending they don't exist.
Yeah.
It's more about cultivating a balance, allowing ourselves to experience the full spectrum of human emotions,
Okay.
but still prioritizing those emotions that help us broaden and build our capacity for growth.
I love that perspective.
Yeah,
So it's not about denying the negative, it's intentionally cultivating the positive.
exactly.
And the article actually mentions a specific tool that can help us do this. It's called the ABC model.
Yeah.
Have you heard of this?
Oh, absolutely. The ABC model, it's a cornerstone of cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT.
Okay.
And it really helps you understand the relationship between your thoughts, your feelings, and your behaviors.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So for our listeners who maybe haven't heard of the ABC model before, can I break it down a little bit?
Yes, please.
All right, so it's actually pretty straightforward.
The A stands for adversity.
Okay, so like a challenging situation.
Right. It's that event that you're facing.
Okay.
The B represents your beliefs about that adversity.
Okay.
So your thoughts, interpretations, assumptions you make about what's going on.
Okay.
And then C refers to the consequences,
Okay.
the emotions, the behaviors, the actions that result from those beliefs.
Okay, so like if I'm thinking about a situation in a certain way,
Right.
it's going to lead to certain actions.
Exactly.
Okay, I see how this is really helpful.
Yeah, it's a really useful framework.
Can you give us an example of how that actually works?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say you're working on a really challenging project
Mm-hmm.
and you hit a roadblock.
Happens all the time.
Right. So the roadblock itself, that's the adversity.
Okay.
Now, your beliefs about that roadblock might be something like, oh, I'm not smart enough to figure this out,
Ugh,
or
yeah.
I'm going to fail.
Right, those are those negative thoughts
Exactly.
that can totally sabotage us.
Yeah. And those beliefs, those negative thoughts, are likely to lead to some pretty negative consequences.
Mm-hmm.
You might feel anxious, frustrated, and even just give up on the project altogether.
Oh, yeah, you just feel defeated.
Totally. But the good news is,
Okay.
the model also suggests that we can actually challenge those negative beliefs.
Okay, so we don't have to just accept them.
Exactly. And that's where the real power of the ABC model comes in.
Okay.
Instead of just letting those negative thoughts run wild, we can actually take a moment, examine them,
Okay.
ask ourselves, is this belief really true? Is there another way to look at this situation?
Right, like going back to that Project Roadblock example, instead of thinking, I'm going to fail, maybe a more positive belief would be something like, I've encountered challenges before, and I've always found a way to overcome them.
Exactly. That's a great example of reframing that negative belief into something much more empowering and realistic.
Yeah, because it's true.
Yeah.
We have gotten through hard things before.
Right. And when you shift your beliefs, guess what? You also shift the consequences.
Okay, so instead of feeling defeated, I might feel motivated to find a solution.
Right. You start taking action.
I love this. I can see how this would be so useful.
It's a really powerful tool.
For anybody
Yeah.
who's facing a setback or challenge, which is all of us at some point, right?
All the time.
It gives you this like framework for actually taking control of your thoughts
Right.
instead of letting them control you.
Yeah, that's really what it's all about.
And that's a big part of having a positive mindset, right?
Exactly.
This is fascinating stuff.
It is.
I can already feel some light bulbs going off.
I love it.
And speaking of tangible benefits,
Yeah.
the Mayo Clinic article actually highlights some pretty incredible outcomes
Oh, there are so many.
that are associated with a positive attitude.
Where do we even begin?
All right, they talk about increased lifespan, lower rates of depression, better cardiovascular health. Like some of these were pretty surprising to me.
Yeah.
A longer life just from thinking more positively.
I know it sounds almost too good to be true.
Right. I have to admit, I'm a little skeptical, but also incredibly intrigued.
I understand the skepticism.
Yeah.
But while we can't say that it's a direct cause and effect relationship,
Yeah.
the research is pretty compelling. There does seem to be a really strong correlation between having a positive outlook and just your overall well-being,
Okay.
both mentally and physically.
So do you think there's like a physiological component to that?
I think there could be. The Mayo Clinic article really emphasizes the importance of stress management.
Okay.
And we all know that chronic stress can wreak havoc on our bodies.
Oh, for sure.
It increases our risk for all sorts of health problems.
So are you saying that a positive attitude can actually act as a buffer
I think so.
against stress?
Yeah.
Which then in turn can positively impact our physical health?
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
Plus, there's even research that suggests that people who are more positive
Hmm.
tend to engage in healthier lifestyle choices as well.
Oh, interesting.
They're more likely to exercise regularly, eat nutritious foods, get enough sleep.
So it's like a positive feedback loop.
Exactly.
Positivity leads to healthy choices,
Yeah.
which then leads to even more positivity, and so on.
It becomes this amazing cycle
Yeah.
that can really impact every aspect of your life.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But let's be real, even with all of these amazing benefits, we all have those moments, days, even weeks,
Oh, yeah.
where negativity just creeps in.
It's going to happen.
It's like part of being human.
Right.
And that's where identifying and actually combating that negative self-talk
Yeah.
becomes so important.
You're absolutely right. And that's where we'll pick up in the next part of this deep dive.
Okay.
We're going to delve into those specific patterns of negative self-talk that tend to hold us back, and more importantly, how we can challenge those thoughts
Right.
and replace them with some more positive and empowering ones.
All right. Sounds good. I can't wait.
Stay tuned.
So before the break, you were talking about tackling those negative thoughts.
Right.
I know the Mayo Clinic article goes into a lot of detail about that
It does.
in the negative self-talk section, which I think is something we can all relate to.
Oh, absolutely. It's like we all have that little voice in our head
Yeah.
that just loves to point out all of our flaws and magnify all of our mistakes
Yeah.
and make us doubt ourselves.
And they actually list out a bunch of specific negative self-talk patterns.
Yeah.
Like filtering, catastrophizing, personalizing.
Mhm.
It's almost scary how common some of these are.
It's like they've given a name to all of those little thought traps that we fall into.
Right. Like for me, I know I'm guilty of filtering.
Okay.
You know, like you focus on that one negative comment, even if there's a ton of positive feedback.
Yeah. You just hyper-focus on that one little thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Or catastrophizing,
Oh, yeah.
turning a small setback into like a major disaster in my mind.
Those are classic examples. And you know what's interesting about these patterns?
What's that?
Is that they often operate on autopilot.
Mm.
We don't even realize we're doing it
Right.
until we really start paying attention to our thoughts.
It's like we're running these mental scripts
Exactly.
without even being aware of them.
Yeah, but the good news is,
Right.
the Mayo Clinic article, they also provide some really practical strategies for combating those negative thoughts.
Okay, good, because I was about to say this is getting a little depressing.
Right, we need solutions.
Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
So let's dive into some of those strategies.
Right.
Where do we even begin?
Well, let's start with one that I think might be particularly relevant for you
Okay.
as a learner,
Mm-hmm.
and that is challenging your negative thoughts with evidence.
Okay, that makes sense. How does that work in practice?
So it's all about putting those negative thoughts on trial.
Okay.
So let's say you're struggling to grasp a new concept,
Yeah.
and that inner critic starts whispering, "See, I told you you're not smart enough."
Ouch. Yeah, I've definitely been there.
So instead of just accepting that thought as the truth, you pause and you ask yourself, what evidence do I actually have to support this belief?
Okay.
And then you start gathering evidence to the contrary.
Okay.
Maybe you've mastered other difficult concepts in the past.
Right.
Maybe you're just learning in a way that doesn't quite align with your strengths. The
Yeah.
key is to actively challenge the validity of that negative thought.
So instead of letting that thought spiral,
Right.
you're turning it into like an opportunity for self-reflection
Exactly.
and growth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really plays into that whole idea of resilience that we talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a learner, you're constantly pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone,
Right.
encountering new challenges, and inevitably making mistakes along the way.
Which can be really frustrating.
It can be, especially if you have perfectionist tendencies.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's in those moments of perceived failure that resilience really shines.
Okay.
It's that ability to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and say, okay, what can I learn from this experience? How can I approach this differently next time?
It's like reframing those setbacks as stepping stones on the learning journey.
I love that. And, you know, speaking of learning, another strategy that the Mayo Clinic article mentions that I think might resonate with you is focusing on solutions
Okay.
rather than problems.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
Well, it's really easy to get caught up in the negativity when things aren't going our way.
Oh, for sure.
You know, we dwell on the problem, we overanalyze it, and we let it just consume our thoughts.
Oh, I am so guilty of that.
But instead of fixating on the problem, this strategy encourages you to shift your focus
Okay.
to finding solutions.
So it's a more proactive approach.
It is.
Okay.
And it can really help you regain that sense of control and empowerment.
So like using the learning example again.
Yeah.
Instead of dwelling on the fact that I'm struggling with a particular concept,
Mm-hmm.
I could ask myself, what resources or strategies can I use to better understand this?
Exactly. Maybe you need to break down the concept into smaller chunks, or seek out additional explanations, or try a different learning method altogether.
Yeah.
The key is to focus your energy on finding a way forward,
Okay.
rather than just getting bogged down in the negativity.
That's such a good reminder. It's so easy to just get stuck in that loop
It really
of
is.
negativity.
Yeah. And I think this ties in nicely with another tip that the Mayo Clinic article mentions,
Okay.
and that is surrounding yourself with positive people.
Yes. The people we spend time with have such a huge impact
They really do,
on our mindset.
whether we realize it or not.
So true. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, it's going to be a lot harder to cultivate a positive outlook.
Absolutely. And for you as a learner, I think it's especially important to connect with people who share your passion for knowledge
Yes.
and who approach challenges with a positive, growth-oriented mindset.
It's like having a support system of cheerleaders
Exactly.
who are encouraging you to keep learning and growing.
Yeah, and just to add to that, remember that cultivating a positive mindset, it's an ongoing practice.
Right. It's not like a one-time fix.
Exactly. There are going to be days when you feel amazing, and there are going to be days when you struggle.
Yeah, that's normal.
That's perfectly normal. The key is to just keep practicing those strategies.
Right.
Keep challenging those negative thoughts, and just keep reminding yourself of all the amazing benefits that come with a positive outlook.
This has been so helpful.
I'm glad.
I'm already feeling inspired.
That's great to hear. And remember, you don't have to do it all at once.
Yeah.
Just start small. Choose one or two strategies that really resonate with you,
Okay.
and make a conscious effort to just incorporate them into your daily routine.
I like that.
Yeah, small steps.
So this has been great. I think this is a perfect place to kind of wrap up this part of our deep dive.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the science behind positive emotions
Yeah,
to practical strategies for dealing with negative self-talk.
absolutely. And in the final part of our deep dive,
Okay.
we're going to give you even more specific tips and actions that you can take to cultivate even more positivity in your life.
Sounds good. I can't wait.
So stay tuned for that.
Okay, so we're back, and I'm ready to actually do something with all of this information.
Me too.
Let's talk about how we can actually make this happen.
Right, like what are the actual steps?
Yeah, how do we cultivate more positivity in our lives?
Well, one of the things that we've touched on a little bit already is gratitude.
Okay.
And I know it might sound a little cliche,
Yeah,
but there's a reason why this practice is so widely recommended.
I have to admit I'm always a little skeptical
Okay,
when I hear about gratitude.
I get it.
It seems so basic.
Yeah, but here's the thing about gratitude. It's
Okay.
not just about feeling good. It's about actively shifting your focus to the positive things in your life,
Oh, yeah.
even when things are tough.
So how do you recommend actually doing that?
Well, one popular method is gratitude journaling.
Okay, I've heard of that.
You just take a few minutes each day to write down a few things that you're grateful for. And, for you as a learner, I might suggest incorporating some of your learning into those gratitude entries.
Oh, interesting.
Think about what new fact or concept are you grateful for having discovered today.
Okay, that's cool.
It just adds another layer to it.
Yeah.
And another tip that I think might really work well for you is to kind of reframe challenges as opportunities for growth.
Okay, yeah, like
Right.
that whole idea of turning failures into stepping stones.
Exactly. And I know it can be hard to see it that way in the moment
Yeah.
when you're feeling discouraged.
It's so easy to get caught up in that.
Right. But if you can take a step back
Mm-hmm.
and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this actually help me grow?
Okay.
It can really shift your perspective.
So it's like taking those failures
Mm-hmm.
and turning them into learning opportunities.
Absolutely.
Okay, I like that. And, another thing that we've talked about
Yeah.
that I think is so important is surrounding yourself with positive people.
Oh, that's huge.
The people we spend time with, they really influence us.
They really do. So it's important to make a conscious effort to connect with people who lift you up,
Yes.
inspire you, and share that passion for learning.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
join a book club or attend a lecture or find groups of people to discuss ideas with.
So there's actively seeking out those positive influences.
Exactly. And as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to encourage everyone listening to actually take action.
Yes, me too.
Don't just listen to this and then go about your day.
Right. Choose one thing.
Choose even just one small step
Okay.
that you can take today to cultivate more positivity in your life.
It doesn't have to be big,
No, just something small.
because a positive mindset, it's not like a destination. It's a journey.
It really is. It's a practice.
Yeah, it's ongoing.
And it's worth it.
We've
Yeah.
talked about all those benefits,
So many.
but I think Honestly, beyond all of that, a positive mindset just makes life more enjoyable.
I completely agree.
It's about approaching each day with a sense of optimism and curiosity and gratitude.
That's a great way to live.
So that's it for our deep dive into the world of positive mindsets.
We hope you enjoyed it.
We hope you learned some new things.
And we hope you'll check out those articles we mentioned for even more information and tips.
Yes, they're packed with good stuff.
Yeah.
Keep those positive vibes flowing, everyone, and we'll see you next time.